The XRP Collateral Flywheel is in motion, and I want to explain how this takes the XRP supply shock meme into reality. And we're going to talk about how it's happening quickly. So we have a full breakdown here for you guys. Stick with me if you're new here. Make sure you guys have subscribed, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. Planning on being back live tonight, Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So stay ready for that one. And let's get you right on into today's update. Let's go. Treasury 10-year note auction draws the highest yield since 2007. Our bonds are blowing up, meaning we need more buyers, right? With continued selling from Japan and other parties to strengthen the yen, to strengthen their national currency, right? This isn't just Japan. These are other countries as well. They're selling off U.S. treasuries. And this is a problem. As we're trying to stimulate our economy and bring rates back down, right? We just got good CPI and PPI data this morning and yesterday, right? Inflation's cooling relative to how hot it was. Don't you love how they spin the data? We still have inflation. It's still terrible, but it's not as bad as it was. So that's good. Now we're not going to get a rate hike. And now folks are starting to lean that, okay, maybe we will get a rate cut before midterms. In the meantime, the bond market just says, y'all can get you know what, because the bond market just continues to sell off. And this is after the huge intervention that we just saw in the Japanese currency market with the U.S. Treasury in tandem with the Minister of Finance in Japan. The United States just sold off euros to go boost the yen. Okay, we're bailing out the yen right now. And we're not letting this carry trade blow up. And the sacrifice is that our bond yields keep rising, meaning that when you go to get debt, when you go to buy a home, when you go get a car, when you want financing for your business, you're having to pay a higher price, which circles back to, guess what? Inflation. So we're watching that very closely. The good news is that without clarity, though, I want everybody to understand what's happening in crypto. The institutions that are already at the table working with the SEC, they're already just getting the go-ahead green light without the Clarity Act. It's similar to Ripple utilizing XRP. We all know XRP is not a security. And so we don't need a no-action letter from the SEC. We already beat the SEC in court. But just yesterday, the SEC's Division of Investment Management issued a no-action letter for Franklin Templeton, clearing the way for its registered funds to use its on-chain money market fund to manage cash, including collateral for securities lending. The relief allows Franklin Templeton to custody and record ownership of those fund shares through its blockchain integrated system rather than comply with certain legacy rules designed for physical securities. Franklin says the structure can support intraday trading, hourly NAV calculations, and faster transaction processing. All of our markets are about to get tokenized, and they're going to be trading 24/7, 365. That's where this is going. And we need it to go there to soak up, guess what? Back to that demand for treasuries, right? If we want to get bond yields down, if we want Americans to be able to borrow for cheaper, to buy that home, to buy that car, and to grow their business, we got to get the interest rates down. As President Trump said at the Bitcoin conference, I'll never forget, it's not Bitcoin is going to be key to expanding U.S. dollar dominance. It's not XRP going to be key to expanding U.S. dollar dominance. It's going to be stablecoins. And then you got Franklin Templeton and others here. They're getting the no-action letter to start this tokenization process where we bring it all on-chain. And that is happening without the Clarity Act. Now, a couple notes here that I wanted to point out. I find this so interesting. Is a real gauge of how far gone we are as a society, and especially some of the younger generations, my generation included. I'm a millennial. And I mean, don't get me started with millennials and the younger generations here. But I sympathize with the fact that we understand something's not right here. Something's not right. Now, is going out and betting on sports or event prediction markets, is that the answer? Is socialism the answer, which some of them suggest? I would argue that neither one of those is the right answer for the problems that we face. But this is a problem with our education system and how far gone we really are. Nate Garassi giving you the data. 52% of Gen Z have directed investment funds to sports betting over the past year. Instead of allocating to a retirement account or investing funds, maybe that's in crypto, precious metals, stocks, whatever, we're taking that to sports betting. Over half of Gen Z. And 53% of Gen Z views socialism favorably. Now, Nate says, I actually believe that these charts are related. And it's also tied to the rise of degen retail investor and the rise of social media. They feel like they have to gamble to get ahead. They feel like capitalism doesn't work. Well, you're not participating in a free market capitalist economy. You're participating or observing crony capitalism. We haven't had free market capitalism. Every time the Federal Reserve gets involved, every time our government gets involved, these regulatory agencies, right? They bail out different parties. The fact that we're bailing out Japan right now, we are not in a free market capitalist society. Stop pretending that we are, and stop saying that we are so that you can then bring people over to socialism, right? And I mean, it should go without saying, right, that the answer to this solution is not full-blown socialism, and it's also not sports betting, which is what people want to put their money behind. But when you see your favorite influencer, when you're getting bombarded with the content every single day, I don't know how many ads I've hit not interested in on the sports betting. I no, don't want to see it on my feed. They keep throwing it on my feed, which is why I think the solution might be to just chuck that phone out, which is what I did yesterday, by the way, which is why there was no update from me yesterday. I took I don't know, what does this generation call it? A mental health day? I don't know. Yesterday I took the day off from posting any content. I still was working here, but just took the day off from content. Okay. But let me finish my point here. Prediction markets and sports bets have paid billions in advertising to achieve this. This is from CoffeeZilla. The biggest celebrity influencers are all involved, brokerages, including sports betting. How is anyone surprised by this? It's literally the plan. And he's retweeting another from Eric Balchunas pointing out that Gen Z is moving money from stocks to sports betting and wealth plans. 52% of them have already redirected it. And, you know, as CoffeeZilla points out here, when the biggest celebrities and influencers are telling you, don't go build a business, vote for socialism. Vote for, you know, hopping on the I want to use some other words that maybe I shouldn't use. You know, instead of building something for yourself, building a business and being able to provide for your family, just as I have done and many of you guys have done, instead of spending your time, your energy, and your resources building something, demand that something be given to you because you believe that something wrong is going on over here, right? Instead of making fundamental investments, your favorite celebrity and influencer is telling you to go bet on sports, is telling you to go bet on prediction markets, right? And the same celebrities and influencers are also telling you capitalism has failed. I can't gauge that because we haven't had true free market capitalism. We have crony capitalism, which is actually a flavor we get heading down the spectrum of towards socialism and communism when we have crony capitalism. It's capitalism with the mask on. And I just wanted to point out these observations to show you why most of the population, most of the sheep are not going to get on the right side of the transfer of wealth. Instead of building something, let me make a post on Twitter, that such and such is bad and I'm owed something. Instead of making fundamental investments, let me, instead of that, go and bet on my favorite sports team. Both are not proven strategies or winning strategies, but when your favorite celebrity and your favorite influencer is telling you it's what the cool kids are doing, well, there you have it. Meanwhile, you're completely distracted from fundamental investments with utility like XRP. If you think you're late to the XRP party, think again. 741 million people are estimated to own crypto, but the XRP ledger only has 8 million accounts, and only 322,000 hold at least 10,000 XRP. There's literally only a couple million people here in XRP. Seriously. We are so small, and I like it like this right now because it's more of an opportunity for me. So for my own selfish reasons, I like this. Go, yeah, so-and-so said go bet on sports, great. So-and-so said your time is well spent, in the picket line, holding up a little sign that, capitalism is bad. Over here, we're building real wealth. We're building real businesses. We're buying assets that produce cash flow. We're building assets that produce cash flow, and we're compounding that. Just like I'm about to start talking about the XRP Collateral Flywheel, we've started a flywheel of building businesses, buying value, buying cash flow, wrapping it up in entities and structures that will be protected against any, adversaries that try to come at our wealth. And like I said, it's sad because the sheep get led to the slaughter. Meanwhile, boy, is it wide open for us. It is wide open for us. The people holding up the sign, capitalism is bad, they are not competition for us. And that's why I say it's wide open right now. Do you think that their grandfather wants to hand them down the business? You see where I'm going with this? There is no competition out here. These are not serious people. And they've been completely distracted from the best opportunities, which is what we're grabbing onto right now. XRP just closed its lowest level since November 2024. And the on-chain read is more interesting than the price. Because what we're looking at here is activity is picking up, but we don't have any new users. Price closed at $1 on August 12th, the lowest daily close since November 2024, roughly 69% below the January 2025 peak, near $3.30. Activity picked up anyway, with active addresses averaging 35,000 a day in August against 26,000 in July. So up roughly a third. But new addresses are flat. No new user wave at all. So the rising user activity framing is half right. The existing base is transacting more, and the wallet count is not growing with it. Activity is up, the user base is not, which once again proves my point that we're distracted because Kardashian said to go bet, and I shouldn't do that because I don't want to put words in the Kardashians' mouth. I just like to use them as an example because it gets the point across. So Kardashians, please don't sue me. Nothing against you guys. I hope it works out well. XYZ influencer said go bet on sports. XYZ influencer has a reality TV show. XYZ influencer said capitalism is bad. XYZ influencer finally came to crypto, but instead of talking about utility, they launched their own meme coin. You see where I'm going? You see, this all puts it into context on why most people won't get on the right side of the transfer of wealth. But I got to get into the topic of today's video before I rant on much further, which is those of us that are stacking the right assets will now have the ability to put them to work better than ever before. And this includes gold and silver too. If you look at Rick Rule with what he's doing with Battlebank, the ability to borrow against your gold and silver, you'll be able to use your gold and silver as collateral. You'll be able to take that, borrow against it, and put it to work, right? Same thing that we're talking about here with XRP. I want to get you guys tapped in here on what just happened. Flare just announced this morning that FXRP is now live as collateral on Derive XYZ, the largest on-chain options exchange. So you can trade XRP options and perpetuals against FXRP. Self-custodial, permissionless. So this is the leading on-chain options platform. Deep liquidity, seamless onboarding, lowest fees, institutional grade custody. That's what's in the bio here of Derive XYZ. I'd never heard of this platform. But this is combined with FXRP now available to be used as collateral. And what you do here is you put your XRP up as collateral and then you borrow RUSD against it. And we're just about 9-10 days in here, and we've already seen the vault grow from 280 to about 314 million. So we're growing, and we're already at $5 million borrowed against FXRP. 89% utilization, 0 liquidations. So XRP holders are actually borrowing RUSD while keeping their exposure. Still early days, but the product is working and the risk side looks clean so far. This is so beautiful. The numbers in front of us is just the start. It's just the warm up. It's just testing. It's really testing live, right? We're now live with this. You can do this yourself. And you can put your XRP up as collateral and put it to work. Now, this expands with XLS 66 and the lending protocol on the XRP ledger. And where I'm excited, see, in this example, you can take RUSD and you have it on Ethereum after that. So you put your XRP as collateral, you mint FXRP, which is the representation of XRP on Flare. You deposit your FXRP as collateral here, and then you're able to borrow RUSD and take it to Ethereum. What I'm excited about is with the on-chain lending here in the XRP Ledger ecosystem, is you'll be able to borrow borrow RUSD and use it within the XRP Ledger ecosystem. But what I'm even more excited for is the ability to put your XRP up as collateral, borrow RUSD, sure, but even better, borrow US dollars that you can use off-chain. See, this is when we merge the off-chain world with the on-chain. And for most of us, we're going to want to deposit our XRP as collateral, borrow US dollars with it, and use those US dollars to go buy real estate, businesses, stuff that's happening in the real world off-chain. So I'm showing you the first iterations of this. Post XRP as collateral, go borrow RUSD to go use on Ethereum. Okay, good. We like it. What are we going to go do on Ethereum? There's DeFi, there's trading, there's some things there, sure. But I'm telling you, this is just the first iteration. This goes to post XRP as collateral, borrow USD off-chain, and be able to go use it to go buy businesses, go buy real estate, etc. And this is where the XRP Collateral Flywheel, it started to turn. We have started to turn, but it's starting to accelerate now. And guess who has a lot of XRP to put to work? That would be Evernorth, the largest digital asset treasury company for XRP that is set to go public later this year. They just shared a progress update on their public listing. And the quick read is that based on current XRP prices, fewer shares are expected to be issued at closing against the same XRP treasury, meaning more XRP behind every share. Every one of our advanced funders signed on to get there. So because when they originally, tried to do this SPAC, XRP was at $260. Now we're at $1. So they're adjusting this. But the good news is that you're going to have more XRP behind every share. And when they go public, this is a stock that I am definitely looking at myself. Not here to give you financial advice. I'm just telling you, I am now looking at some of these publicly traded companies and different ways to get exposure to crypto outside of just owning the token, but just owning a piece of Evernorth and letting them put their XRP to work in this collateral lending and this market that I'm talking about. Evernorth is going to be the largest institution deploying XRP in our ecosystem, most likely. But there's other players as well, too. And the other thing that happens is that the ETFs, right now they're all spot ETFs, but I know that some of them are working on ways for us to earn an income or yield or generate returns on our XRP ETF as well, too. And the interesting thing is that we're already approaching 1% of the total XRP supply being parked behind the ETFs. If I look at the ETF Insights tracker here, we're at 992 million XRP locked. That's almost 1% of the total supply. Evernorth, I believe they're at 0.5%, or I think almost 1 billion XRP too. Before long, they'll probably be there. So they're at almost 1% of the total supply. And then additional products are going to be launched here. We're at, what are we at? 5 million XRP bridged over to Flare so far. Around 5 million borrowed against FXRP, right? But Hugo said that they're targeting billions of FXRP is ultimately their goal. So just think about this for a second. Take a step back. XRP supply shock, it's a meme. It's a joke. XRP's back below $1. And so the average retail participant's not paying attention. They think XRP sucks. Maybe they think that all of crypto is terrible and they've left crypto completely. Meanwhile, institutions like Evernorth are getting ready to get their flywheel going, to put their XRP to work. The ETF issuers and the ETF issuers are taking note that their XRP ETFs have been the most successful products that they've probably ever launched. There's been nothing but inflows since inception. So you think that these guys maybe are working on, hey, there's some interest over here. This XRP community is pretty serious. Maybe we should give them a product where they can put some XRP to work and generate some returns and get some cash flow. And then you'll have XRP hedge funds. You'll have other XRP groups that are going to roll out different products. When we get the lending protocol and the XRP ledger, you're going to have all sorts of apps and platforms that allow you to post XRP as collateral and borrow, anything that you want on the XRP ledger. Do you see where this is going? We're going from XRP supply shock being a ridiculous meme that most people would laugh out of the room to, wait, hold up. We need to take another look at this situation. We're not talking about a few hundred million XRP behind the ETFs. We're talking about 1 billion XRP behind the ETFs, and we're only 1 year into this. JP Morgan had already predicted 4 to 8 billion. So we're on the trajectory of 10 billion plus XRP being locked up behind ETFs, hedge funds, XRP yield strategies, XRP lending. I'm telling you right now, within the next couple years here, we go from a couple billion behind the ETFs and behind the strategies and the programs and the platforms right now to 10 billion plus. Over 10% of the XRP supply will effectively be parked behind one of these strategies, behind an ETF with a hedge fund that's trading for you, in the liquidity pools, etc. Lending and borrowing. For crying out loud, people spend their XRP buying meme coins. And all of that takes XRP supply away from the main role of XRP being a source of liquidity on the XRP ledger. And so that number of XRP that Ripple will have to go settle 14% of SWIFT, that Ripple's going to use to go help out the DTCC, that Ripple's going to allocate to all these other institutions. And by the time this gets revealed and the masses come back and realize, the masses come back after XRP's already pumped back up from $1 to $5. And then the headline hits, XRP back at all-time high, $5 XRP, can you believe it? And XRP goes viral again and leads the next bull run again. And then the masses come back in to XRP to figure out what the heck's going on. And they're going to be so far behind the rest of us that are understanding and conducting due diligence on these platforms right now, figuring out how we're going to put our XRP to work. See, riding XRP from $1 to 10, or if you think that XRP is going to $100 by the end of the year, God bless you. I pray for you. We need an intervention if you think that XRP is going to $100 by the end of the year. We need to have an intervention with you. Bless your soul. But whether you think XRP is going to 10 or $100, fantastic. That's not the end of the story for us. See, that is just the base, the foundation. And this is where we start to compound, because we've built that XRP position. We rode XRP from $1 up to 10 or 100. And now we get to deploy our XRP, put it to work, earn yield, earn passive income, and use that to leverage ourselves to go buy more businesses, more real estate, more hard assets. Because I don't know about you. Everything that I see going on, all this crap that I see going around, it reminds me every single day why we're doing what we're doing. We're buying real assets to escape this rat race. We want to be financially free, and we want to build generational wealth. And the assets that we own are what have allowed us to already move out of that system, to not be reliant upon our government, to not rely upon anybody, to protect our wealth and to build our wealth and to multiply that wealth that we have generated. So this XRP Collateral Flywheel is in motion. It's the early stages. You are still early. Now is the time to learn. And what better time than during a bear market when there's not much activity happening? You have the time now. Partner up with the professionals. Start conducting due diligence. I'm underwriting real estate deals right now. Right now, I've built out my own AI agent for underwriting real estate. I'm already moving, and I want you guys to be moving too. XRP's not moving in price doesn't mean that you should stand still. You should be moving towards financial freedom, towards generational wealth. Let's get you on the right side of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. Make sure you guys have subscribed. Hit that notification bell if you appreciate what we're doing. Smack it for me. Come on back tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern for the live show. And all of the rest of our community resources are available at ZachRector.com. Another video for you up here. The subscribe button right there. See you later. God bless.